Well,
do we have the same nail color right now?
Oh my God. That's being locked into that's actually kind of scary. What are we going through?
Ring so big you can't even see my face. Ballin on the court, make them chase. Buzzy beat a shot clock, first place. Got them running plays like they running in a race. I just wanna ball. I just wanna ball.
Hello and welcome to the Women's Cut. I'm Jay, that's C-Way. Let's get it started. How you doing today, girl?
Hey, I'm tired. I'm tired. Actually, let me record this for my day in my life. We can leave this on because this is day in the life. Day in the life. Ooh. Okay.
The world is the world right now, and it's April Fool's Day. Ain't nobody even been joking because you know the whole world is a fucking joke right now. So, yeah. I have been finding a lot of solace in the mess that is social media. A lot of fun things and not so fun things are happening. And as you guys might be able to tell from my tremendous amount of band t-shirts that I'm constantly wearing, I'm a huge concert person. So I already got my concert lineup for the year. Like I'm scheduling it out.
Don't tell me you're talking about the TLC concert. Was that on your schedule?
It was on my schedule, baby. Me and In Vogue and now given Left Eye was my favorite band member, but I also love me some T-Boz. I was so ready for this concert. I just saw New Edition. So I saw what the New Edition, Tony Braxton, Boyz II Men concert. That was such a great experience. I was ready. And guess who's not going to get my money now?
I know as long as Chili MAGA Miss is on that tour, then I hope they wouldn't get your money because MAGA Misses has lost the plot completely.
It's one thing to support what you support, and it's another thing to lie to our faces.
Yeah, that's a bigger issue for money.
Come on, like I supported it because I like veterans. No, bitch, you shared an image about Michelle Obama being a man. What that got to do with veterans, bruh?
Nothing.
Don't play in my face. Her and Nick Cannon can go sit down somewhere. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, it's just all the way disappointing. Well, first of all, this wasn't really even my age range or my demographic this tour, so I wasn't going anyway. I think TLC had like one album that I could get into, the last one, and so I wasn't going. So I'm not even going to sit on here and act like they were getting my money. Now, some people of a particular age did ask me to go. Okay, did ask me to go. No, my life.
I'm of a particular age, so be careful.
No, my friends with particular age asked me to go. I was considering going, but when MAGA Misses came out lying to our face, I just couldn't. And here's the thing: if you want to be a MAGA Misses, you could be a MAGA Misses. But what you can do is be a MAGA Misses and lie to the 92%. You're gonna have to keep it 100. You have too many struggles going on. You reposting derogatory, transphobic things about Michelle Obama. Your whole follower account was all of Turning Point USA, Donald Trump, whatever. You donating to the Trump campaign. And then there's a clip that's going around from your bandmate who said that you voted for that man. Chili, Miss MAGA Misses, no.
I can't understand voting for a man who cut funding for sickle cell research when you've seen how much T-Boz has suffered from that particular disease. It's just unfathomable. But the world of sports right now is a beautiful place. My White Sox still suck, but they're hitting really well. So high five for me. And we're still in the midst of the NCAA tournament. So first up on the cutting room floor, let's talk a little bit about how we find in this NCAA. Zero surprises is how we're finding it.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a few upsets leading up into the Elite Eight. And then in the Elite Eight, everything kind of evened out. And the same Final Four from last year is the same Final Four from this year. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It may not be the same outcome as last year, even though UConn is looking like the favorite. I'm not sure. I think Texas, South Carolina, and UConn all can give you something else on a different day. I think they can pull each other's number at a different day. I do think people feel like it's going to be a repeat, though, of UConn. I'm not sure. South Carolina looks really good right now. So
that's true. I would just like to take a breath and appreciate those Elite Eight games, or more specifically, the Sweet 16 games. Those Sweet 16 games were a lot of fun to watch.
They were.
A couple of the Elite Eight games were fun to watch. Hannah Hidalgo put on an absolute show.
Absolutely.
An absolute show. Probably one of the best individual performances of an NCAA tournament that I've seen in the last 5 years. And we saw what Paige did last year. We saw what Caitlin did through her run. We saw what Angel did. We've seen a lot of great performances, but I can't remember someone putting a team on their back. I was calling her AI. I said, look at 2001 AI out here doing it all for the squad. So I do want to take some pause to give her flowers.
Yeah, definitely. Hannah really holds it down for competitors and for smaller guards. And I love her relationship with her coach. I love how she put Notre Dame on her back, and other players on Notre Dame stepped up big. Pryor stepped up big. They definitely had some big moments there. But yeah, I think the Elite Eight games were really, really fun. The Sweet 16 games were fun, but having the Final Four be the same as last year, I just think it says a lot about in the time of NIL and just how women's sports were even before NIL. You kind of see the same characters. So when you look at this graphic, it was Texas, South Carolina, UCLA, UConn this year and last year. The year before that, we had Iowa in the mix, right? We had Stanford in the mix. Before that, that's when we had LSU. Shout out to Angel Reese, right? We had LSU not only, and people don't realize this. I'm going to say this again. LSU were not in these big conversations. Angel went to LSU, and with Alexis Morris and with their band, with Flau'jae, they popped in, as you guys can see in this graphic, won a championship, and we haven't seen them in the Final Four since. And we didn't see them before, right?
I mean, they took, I forgot who took down UConn that year, but for UConn not to be in the Final Four was a big deal that particular year. And you have, basically what we see is two juggernauts. We see South Carolina, we see UConn, and then whoever else is going to try to get their way on up in there. And it just so happened that the 1 year that South Carolina faltered a little bit, Iowa was a good team. We remember that was a good team, but they were a good team with an amazing player. A whole bunch of role players and Caitlin Clark. Whereas LSU that year was a complete team. Now, what I will say about this year's Final Four is UConn has looked unbelievably gettable. Mm-hmm. The first halves of all of their games, it's like they're relying very heavy on their talent and their ability to play a solid team defense, but they have not really faced that much of a competition. Now, I felt this way before the tournament started. I picked SC as my championship winner this year, simply because they just don't seem like Paige was a lot of fire, and I don't see that fire in it. That's not Fudd's game. That's not Sarah Strong's game. They don't really have I don't know. They don't just have a je ne sais quoi about them. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not them this year. So I think they're extremely gettable as far as I'm concerned. But what I do want you to do, Seaway, I want you to do for me. I want you, let's go team by team, and I want you to make a argument for each one of our Final Four teams to win the championship. So if let's take UCLA first, your favorite team. Why could UCLA win the championship?
I think UCLA wins the championship because they either have one of those shooting nights where their shooters just can't miss, and the other team really doesn't have an answer for Betts. And I don't know. I'm trying to make a case. I find that hard because the other team does have Old Acre. You know what I mean? They have, and then across the aisle, maybe when UCLA gets to the championship round, that's where they're going to have a bit more of upper hand. But it's just about the fact that does the team have an answer for Betts? If they don't, on top of UCLA shooting lights out, it's very hard to beat a team like UCLA when everybody is shooting from beyond the arc and shooting at a high clip. And I think that's what makes UCLA dangerous. They get it to Betts. They see if she can be the first option, and they're always looking for the kick. And the problem with the kick with UCLA, you have to fly out to the wing on almost everybody. A lot of people can knock it down from beyond the arc, and I think that is what makes UCLA very dangerous. And I saw Jaquez had a really, really good game the other day. She's slashing, she's cutting. Their shooters are knocking it down. They have Neekins knocking it down. If you're seeing Neekins and Kiki Rice and Jaquez knocking it down for three, and Bess is having a good game inside, it's going to be difficult to beat them.
For sure. For those Sky fans, as of now, Kiki Rice is projected to go at Sky's draft spot. Now, is it something that I would like? No. I think at that spot I would prefer Flo, but the Sky are the Sky.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. So what about Texas?
Yeah, I think Texas did one of the best jobs in the offseason to really address a lot of the things that didn't put them over the edge last year. And this year, they just seem to have every single piece that they need, right? You know, not only do they have their senior point guard in Rory Harmon, who I think controls the offense really, really well. They have their superstar Madison Booker, whose shot selection this year has been a lot better. Her control has been a lot better. They have Old Acre in the paint, who I think is very dominant, a force down there. People really don't have an answer for Old Acre. And then this year, when you have Jordan Lee that has been doing what she's been doing, right? Her ability to knock down shots, the clutchness that we've seen from her, and so many of their other pieces that they brought in, they just have everything. I mean, they have the speed, they have the athleticism, they have the shooting, they have the size. What doesn't Texas have? And when Texas locks in and gets that heart piece together that, you know, their coach has been talking about for a long time, I think that is a team that is going to be hard to beat. And so we've already seen that dynamic with them beating South Carolina. You know, South Carolina gets the best of them, whatever. And so we know they can take down big teams. The question is, can they take down a UConn if they see UConn, right? Mm-hmm. They've already taken down UCLA, right? So we know they can beat UCLA. We know they can beat South Carolina. The question is, can they beat UConn? And I think they can on a good day. I really do. I think they can.
I really, really, really like their point guard. I think that, like you said, she controls really well. Her assist to turnover ratio is really, really good. And that's something that's going to be extremely important moving forward. And they minimize mistakes, which I also vastly appreciate about their game. All right, so let's move on to the big dogs. A game that a lot of people think is going to be more exciting than the national championship game, which is that UConn versus South Carolina. So let's go in ranking order, lowest to highest. So let's go South Carolina next.
Yeah, I mean, Look, South Carolina's trended in the right direction, right? We've seen them have a loss, and we know that they know what they have to work on, and the adversity that they've already gone through with losing big pieces. South Carolina is trending in the right direction. They have the reason why I think they could ultimately win is the fact that they're battle tested, and I think they have the answer for almost everything that they're going to see. And if they really work together and they kind of flow together, I think it's going to be a really tough game. If Tessa Johnson is lighting it up from beyond the arc, I mean, what are they going to do? Joyce Edwards is a great defender. She also is very dynamic in the paint, and I think that she's going to be able to hold her own. She has been holding her own. And then, of course, you have Raven Johnson, whose decision making and ability to run the offense has been just impeccable this year. And so I think if they're moving, and Tanai Lasson no longer injured, now she's scoring, she's knocking it down from beyond the arc. There's so many weapons that we're seeing, right? And then their freshman, Agat, has been going crazy. That last game, crazy. So I don't know. That's kind of the secret weapon.
Yeah.
That's kind of the secret weapon. And so I'm interested to see, UConn has had some really close games in the first half before. They just been able to wear these teams down. Yep. I don't know if they can wear down South Carolina. Not this South Carolina right now.
And I think that might, them having to work so hard in the second half of these games might go against them, because that's wear and tear. These games, yes, you get time in between, but that's going to make it really challenging. And let's say that UConn gets past South Carolina, which is really tough. Now they have to go against Texas, and now they have to go against UCLA. And to me, that's going to be the crux of this entire situation on who comes out this game between UConn and South Carolina, and how hard of a game this is for them. Only on one day's rest, having to do media, having to do practice, and then go into a game that next day. So it's definitely going to be an extreme challenge. I like South Carolina's chances. Raven is one of my favorite players in the NCAA. I like her fire. I like her spark. I like how she plays. She has developed into making a great decision maker. Earlier in her career, she would take bad shots, or she wasn't in the right positions when you're talking about defensively. And I just feel like she's cleaned up her game so much. I'm a fan. So our last player on the board, which is UConn.
Yeah, I mean, I think on paper, everybody thinks UConn is the clear favorite, right? They have Sarah Strong, they have Sarah, they have AZ, they have KK, they have Heckle, they have so many players, and that's not even talking about the people off the bench that can come and deliver for them. And so I think they definitely have, I would say, one of the most pieces that they can turn to on a single roster. And I think if they lean into every single one of their pieces, that they can really have Ashlyn Shade, right? They have so many people they can lean into. They definitely have a lot of people to go to down the stretch if they need somebody. The only thing is that they seem not to have that one person that they turn to. They've been doing a lot of stuff by committee. And if they pull out ahead, if they already pull out ahead of a team, I think that it's bad for that other team, right? If UConn pulls out ahead and they're already moving and they don't have to fight, they will not give up a lead, right? So I definitely feel like if UConn kind of punches first, they're one of those teams that I don't think too many other teams have an answer for. And so I think that's how they move forward. But I do think it's going to be interesting to see how South Carolina and UConn battle in that first half, because I think that's going to say a lot.
Even though she doesn't necessarily have the same fire as Paige, AZ is, to me, what's going to be the difference between whether they win or lose this game. If she is on shooting, lights out, there's not a spot she can't get to and she can't hit.
Right.
So if she's on, UConn is a tough get.
Yeah.
I just want to see the fight. I want to see that dog come out. And I know that's not her MO, but I'm like, can I see it one time for the good time?
I think it'll come out if they're down and her back is against, the wall. I think both UConn and South Carolina are not used to losing. And so, and South Carolina did lose badly in the national championship last year. And so they have some things to kind of, avenge and themselves. And so I definitely think we're going to see more fire this game.
I think so too. And that SEC championship game, I think surprised them a lot.
Yeah.
I think that surprised them a lot. So we'll see what that chip looks like. Now, these girls are going to have an extremely shortened off season between the end of the NCAA tournament and the beginning of WNBA free agency. And I should say the beginning of the W season, because the draft is coming up very, very quickly. We already know that Asia's getting the max. They told us that as soon the ink didn't even dry. They ain't even sent out a tweet that said we settled. And and here comes the Aces like, yo, don't ask nobody about Asia. She's staying home. We discussed before who you think or who we think would be max players in today's W. The Liberty are going to have the hardest time because you have two people who could potentially be max players.
Right. But both of those people said that they're staying. And so
true.
I think when you're thinking about what matters to these players, having the max may not matter as much to Breanna Stewart as being comfortable and being in a place that she's happy. She's already a co-founder of Unrivaled. She's done well for herself. And so perhaps that for her, Sabrina, is not going to be the difference maker. They both made statements today that they're staying in New York. And so, we'll see. But what I do think is interesting is our reports that are coming out that, agents and front offices still do not know about the dates and the deadlines for free agency and negotiating. Originally, April 9th through the 11th was the negotiating period. And then after that, I believe it was April 12th through the 18th were the signing periods where you can sign. And so those were the original dates, but because of everything with the CBA and how it rushed through, there's still a lot of confusion there. And so I believe that you're going to see a lot of players stay where they're at. Because with this type of confusion, I mean, unless you really want out, you're going to see a lot of players stay where they're at. Unless they really believe that, hey, this is the time to get the max, and I'm going to see what else is out there, or this is the time to get some money. But if you're comfortable and you already know that, you're okay with where you're at, you're going to stay. I think you're going to stay.
I think that's kind of an important note, because I was thinking about teams like the Aces that are absolutely stacked. And I don't know if there's a way you can keep all of those players unless they're just willing to take the minimum, because you have to keep Asia. You have Chelsea, you have Jewel Lloyd, you have Jackie Young. These are all four of those players could command $1 million plus at any other team. And you still only have a $7 million window. So I'm extremely, given, even if, let's say you're at 1.4 with Asia and then all the other three take $1 million, you can still obviously build a team with that, but you still have to think about the minimums and who else you're playing. So I think that teams that are more stacked are going to have a harder problem. I actually had a conversation with an Indiana fan about what I think Indiana's going to do, because they're like, well, you have to give Boston a max. And I'm like, do you give Boston a max? And what are you going to do about Kelsey Mitchell? Kelsey Mitchell is the best player on that team. So I think teams are going to have a lot of hard questions simply because there is only 2 players who aren't rookies are on contracts. Yeah. And that's why.
I gotta relook at the rule for the 4th year. Is the 4th year eligible for the max? I have to go look.
That was my question I believe that they are, because that's the reason why we started on this Indiana question, because Caitlin's going into her 3rd year, and if she's available for the max in the 4th, they're maxing her. She's not going anywhere. So now you have to think about signing Boston. You have to think about signing Mitchell, and the rest of that team. It's a drastic downhill fall once you get from Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell covers up a lot of issues with that team. Caitlin covers up a lot of issues with that team, and so does Aaliyah. If you only have 3 players, you can make deep runs, you can make some noise, you can have great games, but what are you going to do? Atlanta's another team, to me, maybe because they're a little younger, but you're obviously going to give Gray the max in Atlanta, but you still have other players who also deserve good contracts there. So I'm very interested how this is going to turn out. Now,
and I did want to say, I did look Aaliyah Boston under the new CBA, because she was all WNBA during her rookie time, was eligible for the max. So that is a very important clarification. So she is eligible. So when you have her, and then you have Kelsey Mitchell, who was there before her, who do you give the max to? What's going to happen there? And I believe Caitlin was the number 1 pick, so she's up there with 500-something thousand, I believe. But
and rookie of the year. So her 3rd year, she's going to be eligible too, which is the next year after that.
Yeah.
They gonna have
It's tough. I mean, I think it's gonna depend, right? Like, if you're on a team where winning is something that you haven't experienced, and you have a lot more years to earn money, and you may want to take a cut, maybe. But if I'm Kelsey Mitchell, or if I'm Chelsea Gray, or I'm some of these vets, I want the most money that I can get, especially, even though I know Kelsey Mitchell wants to win as well. I get that. But some of these vets, especially if you won before, the max is what you're going to be looking for. If I'm them.
Yeah, that was my argument for Jackie Young possibly leaving the Aces, because she's going into her 8th season. So that's wear and tear. And at this point, she could, not that she's going to get the max, but she can get near max on a lot of teams who are looking for one piece. Yeah. She could probably get the max on teams or not. Now, she's, to me, a player. Like, you need to have a couple of other players. Like, could she come to Chicago and do some damage? Absolutely. With Camilla and also Angel, you have Jackie Young. If you're able to get a serviceable point guard, you have a team that could do some damage. The bench, we got to have there's some questions there. But I'm actually, for the first time in a long time, I'm very excited about free agency, because for the most part, in free agency for the W, stars were staying where they were at unless they were mistreated, right? Or people were just trying to get on a team.
So let's talk about that. Even my experience with covering the Aces, this is something that's very, very clear, evident to me. The Aces treat their players well. Not only do the staff appear to be treated well, I can say even covering them, I feel like I was treated well. Okay. So being there with the Aces, with Becky, there's a certain vibe over there that's just high quality, right? Like high quality. And I'm not sure that every team across the board has that. And so I do think for the Aces, it's not even just the winning, it's the culture, it's the way you're treated. And so I don't know how many people are going to be willing to just walk away just for any dollar amount, I do think, again, if I'm a vet at a certain level of my career and somebody's offering me $1.5 million, that is money that's really important, money that you need to stack and put away to make sure your family is straight, as you go into the later parts of your career. But Jackie, God willing, has a lot more playing to do. And she's in a really good situation. And so I think, I can't speak for her, but I would think. And so I don't know how much the money is going to move everybody this year for sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. And I think comfortability is also an argument to make.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Another big thing happened in the W, which was the Connecticut Sun, as everyone predicted, is going to be moved to Houston to bring back the Comets.
Yeah.
Everybody predicted it and no one wanted it.
Yeah.
Houston Comets fans said we want our own expansion team. Connecticut Sun fans, that's a very rabid fan base. They are extremely upset about this. I personally felt like they should have stayed on the East Coast. I liked them going to Boston. I think we had this conversation on a previous episode, because Boston, that's like a good sports town. That's a good, it's like Philadelphia. It's an extremely rabid fan base. How do you feel about it?
I'm disappointed. And I'm gonna try to speak for maybe a lot of people who are disappointed, who may be in the Suns. I don't want to speak for them, but I'm gonna say something on behalf of them. I know there's a lot of people who probably can't speak, or they may be looking for how they're going to be able to relocate within the W, and they can't say too much, and I understand that. But I think it's so unfortunate, the position that the Mohican tribe was put in here. Everyone knows that the W is now requiring a new standard for their facilities, for their organizations. And I think the Mohican tribe did something very selfless. They got ahead of it and was like, look, maybe we don't have the capital to keep up with the standards of the W. So we either need to sell the team, or we need to sell part of the team to keep up with that investment. And I like how they tried to get in front of it and do that, so these women can keep up with the quality that they deserve and the way they should be playing. The unfortunate part is when they try to sell part of the team or sell the team, and to keep the fan base close by to keep up with the standards of the league, they were virtually stopped by the WNBA. And I wish I could have seen the agreements that these teams signed, so I can further understand why no one took any type of legal action yet about their sale being stopped and hijacked. Perhaps they feel like it will be fruitless, it will be pointless. But the fact that they were forced to sell for $25 million less than what they were offered from Hartford, from Boston, and they were even denied the ability to sell part of their team, I think is really unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the New England fans. And it goes to show you that if the W has a particular thing that they want, if it's not like, if there's no way that, if that's the way they want it, that's the way they're going to have it. And I think that's unfortunate. It's very clear that the ties to the NBA are important. And when I mean ties to the NBA, I mean direct ties. I mean the owner of that NBA team and market. The W seems to want that to be the owner of the WNBA team, or something very close. And so I know that was the issue with Boston. The Boston owner was a minority owner of the Boston Celtics, not the majority owner, and that's just not who they wanted. Hartford, of course, has no link to the NBA, and links to the NBA are important, and that's what they went to. And I think it's just unfortunate for the fans. It really is. And the Mohican tribe.
I agree. I agree. And also, we learned from this negotiation that the NBA having more hands in the pot is not beneficial to the players. It just hasn't been. And I know this is a business. Capitalism is capitalism. One of my favorite quotes from you is capitalism is the root of all evil.
It is.
And it's unfortunate that is what overrides what fans want, because this entire sports industry is built on the back of fans. If you don't have people in the seats, if you don't have people who rock the jerseys, if you don't have people like us who are talking about it, all of it works together to boost whatever sport you're talking about, or whatever sport people are playing. And it really sucks that the fans were just not thought about at all. And it kind of seems to be pretty consistent with the NBA and the WNBA. And that kind of leads us into the next topic that we have, which is Jaden Ivey and his most recent comments. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and throw him in the cut.
Dang.
We are unfortunate Bulls fans, I would say. And I believe that it kind of hits harder in a city like the Bulls that has a very large. The Bulls sell out every game. Every game they sell out. Good, bad, ugly. They sell out every game. And in this city, you also have a large LGBTQIA+ community.
Mm-hmm.
Those are fans of your game. If you would like to get fans of your game to consistently sell out, you create nights or events or anything else that implores them to buy tickets in bulk. I'm a member of a Black Greek letter organization. There is a MPHC night. We all go and we buy our tickets and we wear our apparel.
That night goes crazy. That night goes crazy in the Bulls.
Listen, because I don't go to Bulls games. I don't support bad products. At least I try not to. I didn't go to a White Sox. We're not gonna talk about giving up season tickets. I try not to support bad products, but people like to have the ability to celebrate aspects of themselves in public with like-minded individuals. It's a fan appreciation night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for all of this to be going on simply because you can't separate celebrating fans from whatever your personal thought process is, I don't understand it. Racists do it all the time. They have all type of Black History nights and all type, like I just said, BAC, and people be standing down there, whole Trump supporters, and they still go out there and play that game and do whatever they got to do, and they don't say nothing about it. Because you have to be able to separate your personal thoughts and experiences from the fan experiences. I don't agree with him at all. All right, I'm an ally. So I just want to put that out there. But regardless of what your thoughts processes are, and regardless of how you feel, you got to be able to separate that shit out.
Yeah. First, I do want to say, I don't like what he said, and I don't understand why religious zealousy and why as soon as someone is really gets deep into the religion, why the LGBTQ community is always number one on their hit list. That is something that needs to be studied. But what I will say is, without diagnosing anyone, I do want to be mindful that mental health crises, and on top of things that appear to be religious psychosis, is something that still needs to be monitored and mindful. And I do think we as a community, we understand when someone has a heart attack. We understand when someone has a stroke. We understand all that stuff. When we see something that doesn't, if you're having a Jesus rant and then you start in the middle of it talking about lollipops and Skittles, I'm going to assume that something is not quite right. And so all I can say is, although I don't like what he said, I do hope that people who were there to collect money off of him and help him get contracts, I hope these same people, someone is going to do the hard work to look into what's going on, because it's just not sitting right in my spirit. And I hear everything that people are saying, freedom of speech is not freedom of consequences. I get it. But something does not appear to be right. And that's all I'll say. And I do know, with me dealing with people, I've dealt in the past with people who've gone on similar rants about similar things or these things or something else. it is very hard for the people in their lives to get through to them and to get them help if they do need help. And so I'm not blaming anybody in his life because I understand how difficult it is to get a grown person to do anything. But I do want to be mindful of that. This doesn't seem like a person thinking
logically.
Logically, yeah.
I feel you. I absolutely feel you. But we also have, that's a deeper conversation about how people don't actually understand what free speech is. They just think that you could just say whatever you want at any time to anybody. And you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you also can't.
Right. Look, and if you're not following the Women's Cut on all platforms, and I mean all platforms, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, okay? We're everywhere. We're on wherever you find podcasts, right? And so Apple, Spotify podcasts, you can listen to us. And if you like the visuals, you can get those too. Make sure that you guys are following us and following us at our individual platforms as well.
Do we have the same nail color right now?
Oh my God. That's being locked into that's actually kind of scary. What are we going through?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's hilarious. Oh, shout out to Glitter Nail Salon. Okay. Shout out to the Black-owned nail salon. Did my nails. Okay. Shout out to Glitter. Oh yeah. So look, I know there's a lot going on. And yeah, folks can be mad at us all they want, but I just need you guys to be glad that you made the cut. Bye. You can't even see my face. Ballin on the court, make them chase. Buzzer beater shot clock, first place.
It's been a Chicago Clubhouse Network production.